Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Arc podcast. Today we're going to be going through and talking about and overreacting to the beginning start of the season, talking about these NBA teams and what NBA teams have already beaten the expectation and what other NBA teams are needing to improve as the season progresses. Also, later in the video, we're going to switch over from the NBA to the NFL and doing the exact opposite and just predicting Super Bowl champs, playoff contenders, fake playoff contenders, etc. So if you do enjoy this content, do me a huge favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below on what you think so far. What team is overrated, what team is underrated on both NFL and NBA. Let's get into it. Let's dive right in. So, to start off, in the Eastern Conference, we have two teams that are still undefeated. The Bulls and the 76ers. Now, very first overreaction, of course, is the Bulls playing at this level. I assume that it's going to cool down. I don't think that, although they're playing pretty good basketball to start off, undefeated at home, 4-game win streak, just like I was saying. Now, them specifically, they've played the Hawks, they've played the Kings, they've played the Magic, they've played the Pistons, right? 4 teams that are still figuring things out, i.e., although I've talked in previous videos about the Pistons and all that, they're still figuring out what's up with Jaden Ivey and how he fits into the whole offense. They've been linked to possible trades for guys like Austin Reeves, etc. So Pistons are going to be figuring things out. I think that they'll be okay as the season progresses. The Hawks, they have a lot of new faces over there, right? Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. How does Dyson Daniels fit alongside those guys, as well as is Trae Young the future piece of this franchise? So they're still figuring things out also. The Magic have started off slow. They picked up Desmond Bane in the offseason. They put up a big package in order to get him. So they also have... Desmond Bane hasn't really come in red hot. Game 1, he had a solid game, but he's kind of cooled down. I expect his numbers to be just fine as the season progresses. I think he'll be okay. And then the Kings. We've talked about the Kings and how they're a bit of a lost organization. It seems as if they could be making better moves than they are. It's more of bringing guys in that have big names versus trying to build a competent roster to compete for an NBA championship or even compete for a bright future in the NBA, right? So let's just go through. Let's keep going with these standings. Biggest surprise factor so far is actually VJ Edgecombe is playing out of his mind. Just an elite ball player to start off the season. I mean, literally last game, 26 points. He's actually playing very well. And 26 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists for a rookie. Like, he looks confident out on the court. He looks comfortable. And he looks like, at first when I saw him pick number 77, I was like, Luka's number, etc. Is that really going to fit? Whole 9 yards. But, I mean, he's blowing all expectations so far out of the water. This class so far has impressed me. I'm big high on Cooper Flagg. You guys know that. VJ Edgecombe was a guy that I thought probably could have gone number 2. I know Dylan Harper was supposedly this elite guard coming out. And although, how do I put this? Although I think he'll be good in the future, right now, he's just going to take longer to develop because there's other mouths to feed over in San Antonio. There's, of course, De'Aaron Fox when he comes back, and there's Stephon Castle. And then, of course, Victor Wembanyama is going to get the ball. Versus VJ Edgecombe, there is no pressure on him. The 76ers sucked last year. Embiid with the injury history. Paul George with the injury history. Jared McCain with, of course, he was out majority of the season last year. So it's VJ Edgecombe kind of gets the green light to just rock out. And when you have that opportunity, when there's no pressure on you to be good, that's the perfect setting for a rookie. So, of course, right now he's probably on track to win Rookie of the Year. Him, Flagg, etc. But I think VJ Edgecombe, as of right now, overreacting. First 4 games of the season, VJ's locked up Rookie of the Year. Next up at 4-1, this was a bit of a surprise. The Bucks are pretty darn good. I was a little shocked with this just because I thought that it was going to kind of take time to get Miles Turner in the flow of things. But, of course, we are talking about Giannis here. So they just beat the Warriors. They beat the Knicks. They lost to the Cavs by 5. They beat the Raptors, and they beat the Wizards. So they've had a mix of overall, like they've had 3 good teams they've played against: the Warriors, the Knicks, and the Cavs. And then of course the Wizards and the Raptors are kind of just thrown in there. And I'll get to those guys as well. But yeah, I was kind of expecting, like, let's just click on this box score for the Bucks Warriors itself. I mean, a lot of guys in double figures here. Cole Anthony, 16 points. Bobby Portis, 12 points. Taurean Prince, 10 points. AJ Green, 10 points. Ryan Rollins, 32 points. Now, that was the pickup for former Warrior. Miles Turner, 17 and 7. Like, I mean, did Giannis didn't play in this game too. Interesting. But yeah, the Bucks, it screams that they need a point guard, at least somebody to kind of step up and play that role. But so far, so good, I guess, in theory. I think that they're fake good, just like the Bulls, longevity-wise. I mean, it's the first 5 games of the season for them. I don't think that even if they're a higher seed, I don't have a lot of confidence in this team going far in the playoffs. So, although, you could overreact and be like, oh, they're 4-1, they're at the top of the East, I don't see them long-term. 82 games into the season, I don't think that they're going to be towards the top of the East. And if they are, I mean, shoot, I'll bite that bullet when it comes down, but I just don't predict that. The Heat are a team, of course, going through a lot of turmoil right now because of the whole Terry Rozier stuff that's going on. Still fighting through that. They lost to the Spurs yesterday by 6. They beat the Hornets by almost 30. They beat the Knicks by 8. They beat the Grizzlies by 32. So it is funny because they're going from very close games to blowing teams out of the water. Now, I think what the Heat should do is really evaluate Bam Adebayo. Because although against the Spurs he had 31 and 10, I don't know if you can really see him as a number 1 offensive option. He's a great defensive anchor for sure. I think he's a great ball player and everything like that, but is he really going to be a number 1, number 2 option? I can picture Bam Adebayo in a Lakers jersey, which sucks. As a Celtics fan, I don't like to picture those guys in Lakers jerseys, of course, because of that rivalry. But as a basketball fan, I mean, him and Luka would be elite together. The defense and the screen ability of a guy like Bam Adebayo and rim running ability paired with the offensive magician-like skill that Luka provides, that's kind of scary. Especially since, I mean, the Lakers kind of always have this problem of the big man. They, go from guys like Jackson Hayes to DeAndre Ayton. And DeAndre Ayton, don't get me wrong, he's cool, but he's not the defender like Bam Adebayo is. And Bam Adebayo with Luka seems like he would be a great offensive option. So overall, the Heat should be looking at possibly inflating trade value for these guys because they're not going to win a championship with this current roster. The Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo duo is not going to be enough to compete with the Cavs, the Knicks, the 76ers, the Pistons, teams like that, the Hawks, which I will get to. I project them to be a little better. Let's move on to the Cavs, though. One of those teams that I do think that this is a really important, crucial year for the Cavs. Because if you don't do anything, and by doing something, I mean, at least, I want to say that I don't think Eastern Conference Finals is enough for this roster. With as much time as they've been together, I think you have to go to the NBA Finals. Not necessarily that you need to win it, but this year, with Tatum out all season, with Tyrese Halliburton out all season, right? The East is clearly the weaker conference this year. With the 76ers having injury concerns and the Bucks figuring out what they got going on there. Now is all the time in the world to make your run, if ever a time. In the offseason, you chose not to re-sign Ty Jerome. You went out, you picked up Lonzo Ball, right? You addressed issues. Playmaking when Darius Garland and Donovan weren't on the court. Or another guard that could fit alongside one of the two of them. A long, athletic guard wing-esque in Lonzo Ball pairs him well with smaller size Darius Garland and smaller size Donovan Mitchell. The Cavs themselves, though, this is the year that if they don't go finals, then I think you got to break it up. I don't think the combination of Darius with Donovan Mitchell, with Jared Allen, and with Evan Mobley makes sense if they don't do something. And I think, honestly, it has to be made around the trade deadline, because I think there is a possibility that you fix this roster enough after the trade deadline to have exactly what you need. I feel the two guys that are on the out, if you were to blow it up, would be Darius Garland and Jared Allen. Right? Evan Mobley is so young and so defensively dominant that I think you have to keep him around. And Donovan Mitchell, of course, is your superstar. So you look at what other teams kind of need guard play, and or even a big man, right? The Lakers come to mind when it comes to a big man need. The Celtics come to mind when it needs for a center, for someone like Jared Allen. So, and especially since the Celtics specifically, I think there's going to be a little bit of shakeup there with Jaylen Brown. I just think that so far the Celtics have started off 2-3, and it's a long season, of course. But they're not winning games, and it's not looking good on the court with Jaylen Brown as the number one option. He's playing well, averaging like 25 or some points a game. And, let's look at, they just played, Jaylen Brown had 30 points in 32 minutes, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, right? And everyone's kind of eating over there. Queta, 10 points, 13 rebounds. Peyton Pritchard, 10 points, 10 assists. Derek White, 19 points. Sam Hauser, 21 points. Luka Garza, 10 points, right? It screams that they need a center, for sure. Anthony Simons, 14 points. But, if this issue continues where the Celtics are so bad this season, and then they're like, okay, we think we can run it with Tatum as a number one option, what can we get for a guy like Jaylen Brown? And just feel out the market. And I think, not saying that you would get both, not saying you would get both Darius Garland and Jared Allen, but if you were to get Jared Allen on this roster with Derek White, with Jason Tatum, Jared Allen, Peyton Pritchard, right? And then because you would get more in return, right? Jared Allen plus Lonzo Ball and picks or something like that. Or I mean, as a Celtics fan, we would consider that for sure, because let's look at, although he was a Finals MVP, although he's been one of our guys, right? I'm not saying that the Celtics should trade him, not at all. But I'm saying if it does happen, why not look at a package that still keeps us in that championship contention? A good defender in Jared Allen, a rim runner in Jared Allen. Then you get Lonzo Ball. This is obviously, it would be like 3-4 first round picks attached to this as well. Not just Lonzo, Jared Allen, and 1 or 2 first round picks. That's not going to get it done. Right? Because I think other teams would offer us more. I think if you go talk to the Heat about Jaylen Brown, they're throwing in Bam Adebayo. And I just think that the Celtics have an opportunity there. But let's keep staying on the Cavs. So the Cavaliers, right, if they don't win it, they move off. So I think that's my big thing, is I don't think they're going to. Watching this team play, I don't love what I'm watching. I'm not like, oh, this is a championship roster, right? When you watched the Thunder last season, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. I think so far to start the year, the Nuggets look like a championship roster. The Thunder, of course, do kind of. I think they honestly, the Thunder don't look as good, but we'll get to the West. The Cavaliers just don't look like a championship roster or even a team competing for a championship. They look like a team that is similar to like a Philly, where they're just going to keep running into a brick wall year in and year out. So maybe you need to shake things up at the trade deadline. Disgruntled star in a Jaylen Brown-esque, or another team like the Raptors are towards the bottom of the East, not looking great so far. with the Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Pertl mix. Is it really fitting well so far? Not really, but maybe just sending one of those guys away will fix the issue for both rosters, for both the Cavs and the Raptors. A RJ Barrett-esque or, a Quickley-esque. Something like, I think the Cavs have a lot of power. I think the Heat have a lot of power and a lot of interesting pieces there that could provide ample trade value. And getting an overhaul in return, because a team might panic. Right? I mean, Desmond Bane went for 4 first-round picks. Mikal Bridges went for 5 first-round picks. You're telling me a valuable center position and Jarrett Allen can't get you 2? Or a solid young player or solid star-esque? I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. The Detroit Pistons, they've been linked to a lot of... I think that they are one piece away. They're a strong team on paper. They look really strong, but they're clearly missing Malik Beasley. I think they're really missing that three-point shooting. I think that's why they're tied so hard to Austin Reeves. Takes a little bit of pressure off Cade Cunningham, can shoot the three-point ball, and he provides an opportunity to create his own shot also and create shots for others. I want to, with the Pistons, I think that they are one of those teams that could dethrone a Cavaliers. I mean, shoot. They played tough in the playoffs last season. They were very close to moving on to the next round of playoffs. Another team in the East, we're going to talk about a couple more teams and then we'll move on to the West. We can come back to the East though. Because it's so early in the season, I don't want to overreact to all these teams. Let's talk about the Hawks. I think the Hawks are going to figure this out, right? Like I said, bunch of new faces, that are trying to figure out how one another gel together. And I think that they'll be okay. I think that they could be an underdog. Like, they could be a low seed, like a 6, and then just shoot through the playoffs. Similar, like, I think the Pacers last year were a 5 seed and made the finals. Right? The Magic is another team I think could be in that realm of possibility. I just think the Magic scream that they need a better center. Like, Wendell Carter is cool, don't get me wrong, but he gives off it screams like they need a 7-foot center, not this 6'9" Wendell Carter. If you put, I don't know, like a guy who can stretch the floor a little bit at least. Now, Miles Turner on the Magic, I think they're a championship contender. I think if you put even like a Domantas Sabonis on the Magic, championship contender. And I love that they took the swing and went for Desmond Bane. I just hope that they do it again to improve that roster that much more by going and getting a center, because I think that's the last piece that's remaining. It does need to be a stretch big. That's what has to happen. Like, I don't think you can have a clunky, I don't think you can have a Jarrett Allen in the Magic offense. I don't think it would work that well. I think it would clunk up that offense a lot. I think you would have Evan Mobley, but the Cavs aren't giving up Evan Mobley. I think you could have a Cat, but the Knicks aren't giving up Cat. So I think you look at teams that are towards the bottom, that leaves you with the Magic, of course, would be looking at the Pacers. Don't really have anyone I'd be interested in. The Brooklyn Nets would have Nicholas Claxton, but I wouldn't want to have him in that roster. I would say, like, with the Raptors, Jakob Pertl's kind of interesting for the Magic, but I don't love it there. I think you'd have to give up too much in order for them to get rid of him. In the West, you could be looking at, the Jazz with Lauri Markkanen, but I think you'd have to pay way too much in order to get him. But he would be a perfect fit. He's more of a 4 anyways. If you could somehow get Zubac away from the Clippers, that would be a great position. Potentially maybe running like small ball 5 with like PJ Washington from the Mavericks, but I don't think he's going anywhere either. And then there's the Kings with Sabonis. And I think if you're any team in the NBA and you're looking to make an improvement, I think one of the first teams that you should look at is the Sacramento Kings, because they have a lot of players. Like, because let's talk about, if you're a team that is one piece away or something like that, you're a championship contender, you're right there. You're the Cavs, you're the Pistons, you're the Magic, where you're wanting to get to that next step. The Kings have all these vets that would be fantastic on a championship contingent team, right? 3-point shooting out of Zach LaVine. DeMar DeRozan ability, well, I mean, I think he would be ideal coming off the bench. Then you look at, next up would be like Sabonis. Sabonis should be on a playoff contention team. And the Magic would be prime for him. He used to play alongside Paolo, Franz, Desmond Bane. I mean, and I don't really, I'm trying to think about, let's go to the Magic roster. And like potential players that they would need to give up. Anthony Black, Tristan da Silva, those are some young talent pieces, you know, to make the money match. Maybe like a Jonathan Isaac in there. I'm not sure if they have any more. I mean, Jace Richardson is a young rookie. Maybe you look at, like, I don't know what their pick situation looks like either. Orlando Magic picks. Okay. Future draft picks. This is from fanspo.com. 2026, they have a second from, I'm assuming, so they do have their first this year. But Washington will receive the most favorable of its 2026-2020 first-round pick protected for selections 9 through 30. They have 2027 first. They have a 2029 first. I don't think they can trade that 2029, though, because of the stipend rule. They might not be able to trade 2027 either. So they have some play. They've got some play that they could work with. Now, what would the deal get done for the Magic, though? Like, if you're the Kings, do you want Anthony Black, Tristan da Silva, Jace Richardson? I mean, like, would you want those guys? I mean, I would say it would be like, it would have to be like Tristan da Silva, Jonathan Isaac, and like 2-3 first-round picks for Sabonis. Roughly. That's what I'm saying, roughly. Because I think Sabonis can get you a decent chunk. But again, it is the Sacramento Kings. So I think there's that opportunity. Why I said all teams should call Sacramento is because there's that opportunity to finesse. For sure. Right? After the whole De'Aaron Fox deal went down, there's a whole opportunity to finesse the Sacramento Kings. So yeah, there's Sabonis, there's LaVine, there's Keegan Murray, there's DeRozan, there's Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder, Sabonis. Like, there are a handful, over 5 guys you could be looking at to amp up another roster. Keon Ellis would be another guy. Could bring solid point guard depth to a team. And the Kings are desperate to bring in. They need young talent. They need draft picks. They're a team that is, they need to hit the reset. So, but yeah, we're talking about the Magic here. They're like a piece away. The last team I want to talk about in the East that's just very interesting to think about is the Brooklyn Nets, just because they haven't won a single game. They have pieces here that could be, you know, a little interesting, if I do say so myself. I'm pulling up their games right now. So they just lost to the Hawks yesterday by 5. Let's pull up that game specifically. Michael Porter Jr., 32-9, right? He is an interesting piece in himself because he is a trigger. He can just shoot the lights out of the ball. A guy that doesn't need to create his own shot. A guy that can just catch and shoot. He is 6'10", small forward. I mean, 32-9 is fantastic. Nicholas Claxton, 18-11. Again, I talked about how a lot of teams need center play. Nicholas Claxton is sitting there. I know people aren't super high on Cam Thomas because he didn't have a big market. 19 points, but he is a guard, an explosive guard, an Isaiah Thomas-esque guard that would be able to come off your bench. Terrence Mann, another player, 11, 6, and 5. And then they have like young, interesting pieces of like what could they be? Darren Sharp, Igor Demon, Noah Clowney. I think that there's some potential here of what they could get for Michael Porter Jr., what they could get for Nicholas Claxton, what they could get for possibly Cam Thomas. I don't think his market would be that high. Might just be worth just holding on to him. I think he signed like a $6 million deal. That's it. Let's flip on over to the Western Conference, though. Of course, dominating teams, Thunder, Spurs. If we're overreacting, this is the Western Conference Finals matchup. Realistically, do I see this? No. I think the Spurs are going to make at least like top 5 seed this year. That would be a win. I don't think you need to go past the first round this year. I think it's just get to the first round. See what you have out of De'Aaron Fox, and if he is part of that future, or see if you can move him, right? Then you move on to somebody like the Nuggets. I really think the Nuggets, this is their year. I think that Cam Johnson's going to turn things around. He started off the season slow. I think he'll pick it up. I love the depth that they have. The players that are on this roster just scream championship DNA, right? Of course, Aaron Gordon, the Cam Johnson, but then even guys like Bruce Brown screams championship DNA. Those like glue guys that really make the plays that absolutely matter. They don't necessarily fill up the stat sheet, but they're going to play hard play literally like 120% hard as they can on the court. Christian Brown, same thing, right? Another step out of someone like Peyton Watson. I like this roster a lot. Backup center depth in Jonas Valanciunas. They're even playing Jonas and Jokic together if they need to play a little big. Jamal Murray, of course, going to be Jamal Murray things. I love what I see out of the Nuggets thus far. Even though they're 3-1, let's take a look at their games. They blew out the Pelicans by almost 40. They beat the Timberwolves. They beat the Suns. They lost the Warriors by 6, which was Aaron Gordon's 50-point night. I think they've got everything that they need over on this roster. Trailblazers, sneaky, entertaining team. Young, Tamani Kamara, Donovan Clingan. I like it. I like what we got out of this roster for the Portland Trailblazers. I think they just beat the Jazz by 2. They beat the Lakers by, 14. Clippers by 7. The Warriors by 20. I like this roster. All right, now let's talk about some teams that are having a bit of slower starts, but still intriguing rosters. The Rockets. The Rockets, of course, it's going to take a lot of time to really figure this out. It is year 1 of Kevin Durant, and they scream that they need a point guard. So where can you go get point guard play? We talked about the Cavs. We talked about Darius Garland, Lonzo Ball sitting there, right? We talked about the Kings. Keon Ellis, Russell Westbrook, I think like a Devin Carter, maybe. I would prefer Dennis Schroeder over there also. I think for this roster specifically, somebody who can kind of shoot the 3 ball, so I would be really aiming at like a Keon Ellis or a Darius Garland. One of those two. I like the defensive aspect of Keon and the fact that he does shoot like a 40% clip from 3. So if you could go get Keon, sure. I even think like a point guard such as like, I'm trying to think, maybe even one of these Jazz guys. Like if you can get a Keontae George and Isaiah Collier just to really help out, because realistically, they don't need a lot of help. I don't think they need a lot of help at all. I think with the roster that they have, Kevin Durant, Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson leading the charge right there. It's so unfortunate Fred VanVleet tore his ACL because like he would just be perfect in this roster. But yeah, because of the 3-headed monster right there and how good defensively this team really is, Reed Shepherd clearly is not ready. He needs some more time to develop. He needs to get stronger. He needs to get quicker on his feet. But the Rockets, they could really, like, they scream point guard need. So maybe you go talk to the Bulls about Kobe White. Now, with the Bulls starting 4-0, realistically, they're not going to be looking to get rid of anyone right now. Maybe Jaden Ivey from the Pistons, if it's not working out there for them. Like, I'm thinking even, what would be actually kind of interesting is LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball, I have been so huge on the Hornets saying, let's get, like, trade LaMelo. I've been so big on the Hornets with that now that I'm actually talking about it out loud, LaMelo Ball to the Rockets sounds like a match made in heaven. This point guard, now, of course, the issue would be his injury history. But let's say he stays on the court, finally, because you don't have to put so much pressure on him because there's Kevin Durant there and all the defense is there. So there's not as much pressure for him to just take over. He can doesn't need to do all these wild, crazy theatrics, He can just be a serviceable point guard that when he needs to take over, can take over. Because we know LaMelo Ball at the top of his game is this Magic Johnson-esque type point guard. This Harlem Globetrotter-esque type point guard as well. He just plays in this like flow state, like he's a liquid on the court. And it's definitely unorthodox, but it works. And I love LaMelo Ball's game because it's so unorthodox. I just hate that he's always so injured. That's just the biggest problem. But him on the Rockets would be so intriguing because if he's able to give up the ball and kind of, it's Kevin Durant's night, he's doing his thing. Or it's Sengun's night, he's doing his thing. Like, imagine LaMelo Ball with an actual good big man. Not the Cody Zellers of the world and the Plumlees of the world. No, but an Alperen Sengun who's an all-star caliber player. Not, no disrespect to Brandon Miller, but Brandon Miller's not the level of Kevin Durant. Imagine he's playing alongside Kevin Durant. And then he's got this all-NBA first-team caliber defender in Amen Thompson, this hyper-freak athlete. Like, that, now I'm rooting for that to happen now that I'm talking about it out loud. Is LaMelo Ball to the Rockets would be so interesting, and they have the pieces to go get him. What would that look like? Let me see. LaMelo Ball to Rockets mock trade. I just want to see if there's anything there. So Sports Illustrated posted this May 20th of 2025. Let's see if this package here, it would be, I don't know if this would happen now. This was posted May of 2025, so it'd be the Rockets receiving LaMelo Ball in exchange for Fred VanVleet, which obviously is injured, so I think they would need to throw in some more. Jabari Smith, and then a couple first-round picks. 4 first-round picks, it looks like. Oh, no, 3 first-round picks and a second. Which, they could do that. You throw in, like, Reed Shepherd on top of that, who the Hornets would be looking at young assets. Jabari Smith would be an interesting young asset for them. And Reed Shepherd, who knows what he could be. But Reed Shepherd and Con Knipple sound so defensively bad. I don't know if I would love that. But this is if the Hornets are like, nope, LaMelo's clearly not our future. We just don't want to keep putting all the eggs in him, in that basket. So I am loving actually thinking about that out loud. I really do. Last team I want to talk about before we switch over to the NFL is the Pelicans. So far, without overreacting to it, I was right. In the offseason, I said that this was all going to be clunky, right? I didn't love the fit of Derek Queen with Zion, with V. Missy, like too many big men in the locker room, like too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. Jeremiah Fears actually hasn't been looking terrible. I just think, like, it's such a shame. Like, he had 21 points against the Nuggets. I just think that at this point in time, Trey Murphy and Herb Jones are just kind of being held back. I would love to see Zion in a new spot, right? As good, like, Trey Murphy screams the glue guy for a championship roster. He really does. That third piece, right? How it's, he is that, he could be to another team what Aaron Gordon is to the Nuggets. Not saying they would be the exact same style player, but like what he means to the Nuggets could be Trey Murphy. Like a team that could use Trey Murphy would be like the Lakers would be ideal right there, right? As much I hate saying that. The Lakers, I think like other teams that need a wing, now that I'm looking, the Bulls could use somebody like him. I mean, of course the Bulls could use that, but the Warriors could use a Trey Murphy. The Grizzlies too. Of course, like the Timberwolves could use someone like Trey Murphy. So the Timberwolves, like let's say he goes to the Lakers. You would look at it like that package would probably be ugly because it would be like Rui. It would be centered around like Rui or maybe Austin Reeves. Maybe Austin Reeves could be the package that gets you Trey Murphy. Because he's got a lot. It really feels like the Lakers are inflating his value right now. Just saying, hey, rock out. We're going to end up parting ways with you. We want to inflate your trade value. Shoot. Austin Reeves specifically, like Wednesday he played. Austin Reeves had 28 and 16. Right? Then the game before that, Lakers games, Trailblazers, Austin Reeves had 41. Against the Kings, he had 50. Like, regardless, I know that a lot of people were hating on the Laker Austin Reeves 50-point game because of all the free throws he took. Whatever it may be. Down towards the trade deadline, we're not going to be looking at that. One game where he had 22 free throws, we're not going to be looking at that. But what they're going to look at is his average is just inflated because it's by the time trade deadline's rolling around, especially with him playing the way he's playing, he's going to be averaging like 23, 24 a game, with them kind of realizing, hey, we can kind of let Austin Reeves rock out and trade him for a wing. Hey, New Orleans, look at this great player we have that is a scoring machine. Let's put him over on your roster and give us Trey Murphy, V. Missy, and we'll give you Rui, Austin Reeves, and a pick or something like that. Or even maybe you could finesse the Pelicans and get a pick back. Like, the Pelicans don't have their own first-round pick in control this year, which because they did the whole trade with Atlanta, and they're 0-4. You have to try and make a winning play. So you haven't won a game. You got to do something in order to inflate this roster so that trade doesn't look as bad. Hopefully Derek Queen rocks it for y'all and everything. But I mean, not impressed so far with the Pelicans at all. It's just a clunky mess over there. With the combination of Jeremiah Fears and Jordan Poole just feel like they're very similar on how they play. Like, let's say the Celtics beat them by by 32. Trey Murphy averaging 7 points is wild, but Jordan Poole with 22 points, Jeremiah Fears with 2 points in 27 minutes, bro. Like, I understand you're a rookie, but damn. DeAndre Jordan looks ugly in a Pelicans jersey too. That's just terrible. All right, let's switch over to the NFL. Let's talk a little football here. We're going to go through both conferences, talk about some teams, some scary teams that could be dangerous playoff ruiners and Super Bowl contenders. Patriots, of course, are at the top of the AFC East. I still think that they could use a dynamic receiver over there. Stephon Diggs just isn't the same after that injury. We thought Booty was going to kind of come into that fruition. The running back room doesn't look nearly as good, but Drake May throws a perfect ball. He really does. I was a Jaden Daniels over Drake May kind of guy when it came to the draft in that class, and I still stand by that. But Drake May is balling out. I mean, he's playing. He literally, every throw he makes looks so pretty. That spiral on that ball, he plops it into the receiver's hands so perfectly, without glazing him too much. The Patriots are good. I think the defense could use some work. I think that they could use an elite pass rusher, but I think that they'll be all right. I don't think they're going to go far this year, but I think they're like a piece away. They're a year away from being contention. I'm interested to see what they do this offseason. Let's talk about the Bills. Of course, Bills got a big game this weekend against the Chiefs, whole 9 yards. I mean, that could be your AFC East contention. I think there's a lot of AFC teams that are just going to get, unfortunately, it just screams that the Chiefs are going to go back to the Super Bowl again. They look good. They look way better now that they're healthy. The Chiefs are just the Chiefs. What's going to happen in this Bills-Chiefs game is it's going to be this 38-35 shootout. Josh Allen's going to have a decent game, rushing touchdown or two. It's going to come down to the last drive. Either the Bills choke or the Chiefs. Whoever has the ball, if the Chiefs have the ball, they're going to win the game to end the game. If the Bills win, it's because fluke play. I don't know. I just as partial Bills Mafia, it just screams like this is going to happen all over again. Or the Bills are going to win in the regular season and then choke in the playoffs, because that's always what happens to the Bills against the Chiefs. Other surprising teams, the Steelers' offense is actually not looking bad. It's funny because the Steelers are so known for defense, and the defense carried them last season. This season, the corner play is atrocious. They're averaging 25 points a game on offense. The defense is allowing 30. Like, what are we doing? Literally, points for, 175. Points against, 175. They need a corner. A lot of teams need corner, but them specifically, like, it's bad. Ravens are in a bit of a blender right now. Of course, they just beat the Dolphins 28-6. Luckily for the Ravens, their upcoming schedule, because they can't really lose anymore. They have to kind of win out in order to have a chance to make the playoffs. They have the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy at the helm. He looks like a deer in headlights when he's on the field. He doesn't look at the left side of the field at all. The Browns, solid defense, terrible offense. Maybe Shador will be there at that point. But with Dylan Gabriel, I think that the Ravens have it locked up. The Jets, terrible. The Bengals, terrible defense. So, and then the Steelers. Then they have the Bengals again. Then they have their toughest games are 2 of their last 3 games of the season being the Patriots and the Packers. And with that, I think there's definitely, with as close as this whole division is, with as bad as they've been playing, they're 3-5. They're tied for second in the division, and they're only 1 game away from the Steelers. Right? They're only a game back from the Steelers. Steelers lose this weekend, and we're talking, I mean, they're all right in it. But, and of course, the Browns are the Browns, and they're doing the Browns things. Colts are like, I don't know. I want to say that they're like fake good, but they're just good. I thought that this was going to be a fluke. They were going to start off the season dominant and then cool down, but they just haven't cooled down. They just look great. Maybe I'm just a bit of a hater. They just genuinely, I thought that they were just going to cool down. And Jonathan Taylor's looking like a possible MVP. Daniel Jones also looking like a possible MVP. The offense is clicking. That rookie tight end, Tyler Warren, is looking elite. They could use another pass rusher. I think the defense is their weakness, but realistically, that offense is dominating. They dominate time of possession when they play because they have such an elite running back in Jonathan Taylor. Other teams, I think the big overreaction that people were making was CJ Stroud is not good, and it is clear as day how important it is to invest in your O-line. CJ Stroud is screaming for help. When they play bad defenses, he plays well because bad defenses have no pass rush and therefore can't get to him. but he has no one blocking for him. So when they play, like this weekend, they play the Broncos, and I think that's going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be some like 12-13 game. Both offenses are going to be ugly because both defenses are so good. I think it's going to be bad, though. And I think the Broncos win that game, but I think it's going to be ugly. Speaking of the Broncos, let's talk Broncos. The offense has picked it up quite a bit, putting up 44 on the Cowboys, putting up 33 on the Giants. But then I look at games like they get a slow game against the Jets, slow game against the Eagles, right? Slow game against the Chargers. There's a lot of games here that I'm not super impressed with the offense. The defense is elite. I don't know if this offense, they might be fake good. The offense might be fake good. So keep that in mind as you're making your bets and everything. That division is tough though. 6-2, 5-3, 5-3. I think the Chargers are fake good also. They're really good. Shout out to Justin Herbert playing elite ball and everything like that. The defense though, without takeaways, the defense is not good. I think that they could be a team that chokes early in the playoffs. They're going to face a team in the first round that just knocks them right off. They're going to face a Ravens in the first round or something like that. Just knocks them right out of the playoffs. In the NFC, unfortunate, of course, Cam Scatterbo got injured. The Giants were just a fun team to watch. Everyone's talking about the Eagles and how they look elite again and everything like that. I don't love it. I just don't. I don't know. There's a lot of drama there. There's a lot of like controversy with AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts. And I just think that is toxic for the locker room and going to affect them in the long run. Because if they don't win it, there's going to be a lot, like if they don't win it all, a lot of fans are coming after Jalen Hurts. A lot of fans are coming after Jalen Brown, or AJ Brown, Jalen Brown, AJ Brown. And yeah, I think that the Eagles have to make it to the Super Bowl. At a bare minimum, they have to. Packers look elite, of course. Lions look elite. It's a tough NFC, I think. Eagles, Packers, Lions, and Buccaneers are... It's funny because the Buccaneers are 6-2, top of the NFC, as well as the Eagles. But they're like, for some reason, they feel sneaky good. They just feel they've been dealing with a lot of injuries with Mike Evans and Emeka Egbuka and, of course, Chris Godwin and all that. But they're still putting up baller numbers. They're still putting up, like Baker's still playing at this. He's cooled down for sure from his start, but still an elite ball player, an MVP caliber player. And then last but not least, I think the Rams are the last dangerous team. I think that they are a scary team because they're so young on defense. Their offense is good. Puka has been dealing with injuries. That's why the offense has cooled down. But this week, they have the Saints. I'm betting the over on everything Rams because they have the Saints. That offense for the Saints is so bad. I'm starting the Rams defense in fantasy. That's the only Rams players I have on my roster is the Rams defense. I picked them up on waivers. I said, if it's Spencer Rattler, great. If it's Tyler Shuck, great. If it's whoever else at quarterback, great. I want the Rams going to smack the crap out of the Saints. I really think that is my big, like, if I were to give any broke boy bet thing, it is bet the over on the Rams for everything. The only way it wouldn't be betting the over on the Rams would be if they just dominate early and get out. Right? Similar to like the Buccaneers last week, played the Saints, dominated them, and just got out. Baker didn't really have a great game because like they didn't need him. The defense did everything because they brought in Tyler Shuck that game. It's just ugly what they're doing. The Saints. So, all right, guys, with all that being said, let's give final predictions. NBA championship, NFL Super Bowl. So, NFL Super Bowl, I've got the Packers against the Chiefs. And I'm hoping the Packers win, but it screams Chiefs Super Bowl. I am. I'm just being completely honest. In the NBA, NBA contention. Knicks in the finals against the Nuggets, with the Nuggets winning the championship this season. That is my prediction. Both are final predictions. So if you did enjoy this content, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below what you agree with in this video, what you disagree with. I love it when we get back and forth conversation, that whole 9 yards. So without further ado, it has been another Beyond the Arc episode, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.